What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk with me, Tyson the Trainer. Now, today I want to talk to you guys a bit more about boxing. It is a sports talk type of thing, side of things, sorry. And because I am interested in boxing at the moment, it's something I want to speak about. So, in today's topic, I want to talk to you guys about something that, it's always been done, basically. In the boxing community, and that is cardiovascular exercise. Usually it is fasted cardio in the morning that most guys are going to be running certain distances, okay? And then there is the cardio side of things when you are doing sparring, when you are doing boxing bag, in the bag, when you were doing pad work, when you were doing shadow boxing, all those type of things, right? Now, what I don't think is talked about a lot in the community is the difference between those two different types of cardiovascular exercises, because the modalities are different at the end of the day, right? When you are running, you should not be running as hard as possible, trying to keep your heart rate up as high as possible, because this is going to take away from your training when it comes to pad work, when it comes to bag work, when it comes to shadow boxing, when it comes to all those things where your heart rate is elevated. Because one thing we need to consider is that you cannot always be on all the time, right? Especially with boxers, a lot of them do not have a lot of education with nutrition. I'm constantly telling boxers about their nutrition and look at how many people undereat. And if they are undereating, it means they are on low energy availability, which means they probably have low testosterone, right? And just, low recovery overall. But boxers always seem to be going to the grindstone, fucking pushing themselves hard, training hard, doing all those things and eating little because they think they need to maintain a certain weight, Now, with saying that, this is where we have to have a little bit more literacy in this field of sport, because at the end of the day, you are performing on high levels, especially when you get to the pro levels, when you're doing 12 rounds, when you're doing things like that. And so you want to make sure that you are basically optimizing your training, okay? You're getting the full capacity out of training, you're able to push yourself to the full extent, you're able to recover from the full extent, all right? So with that being said, you can't always be doing high intensity activity. You can't always be pushing the limit. You can't always be redlining, because guess what? Redlining is not healthy for you, right? Because you cannot recover. It decreases your recovery capacity, especially if you are someone who's doing 2-day training sessions. You're doing running in the morning and then you're doing like a circuit at night, or you're doing pad work at night, or whatever it's going to be. Like, that's going to take a toll, especially when you're not feeding yourself a lot. Enough is what I'm trying to say. So for you, what we need to take a focus on, this is why I talk about heart rate monitoring for the most part when we're doing exercises. When you were doing bag work, when you're doing pad work, when you're doing sparring, your intensity is going to be quite high, all right? You're going to be throwing a lot of punches, you're going to be ducking, weaving, going to be getting the heart rate quite high into that basically red zone for the most part, red or yellow zone, so getting close to that end mark, which is absolutely fine. But that's the time and place for that, okay? Any other time and place, you need to be focusing on keeping your intensity low. And this is why I encourage people to get a heart rate monitor, a heart rate strap on their arm, a heart rate strap on the chest. If you have a good watch, right? So if it's a Fitbit, not a Fitbit, if it's a Garmin or if it's a Apple Watch, they're gonna be quite important for you. So anytime you're not doing any direct pad work or bag work or anything like that, making sure your intensity of cardiovascular exercise is low intensity, okay? Because we have two areas here, the high intensity side of things, high intensity, medium intensity, and the low intensity, and they both have their benefits there, So to build up aerobic capacity, to build up mitochondrial density, to not impact your training as much, to help with increased recovery, to help with nutrient partitioning, to help with basically just kicking along, low intensity is going to be the stuff that you probably do every morning for the most part. Doing it fasted is absolutely fine. But again, keep that heart rate low. We want to keep that heart rate to no more than above about 65% of your heart rate max. So for a lot of people, that's going to be around 130 to between 130 and 150 beats, all right? As you do your high intensity stuff, you're probably not gonna be able to track your heart rate, but that stuff's gonna be going on to about 170, 180 beats, give or take, based on your fitness level and stuff like that. And so this is why we need to be able to differentiate the two and know that what you're doing when you do those fasted runs and stuff like that, you're keeping your heart rate low, so you're able to recover, then you can push yourself when the time comes for the higher intensity stuff. And this is why the delineation needs to be made. But a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of guys are still trying to go out there and do fast 5K paces or, run as fast as they can when that's not the goal, okay? The goal is to take it cruisy. The goal is for that to be, building up that aerobic capacity, like I said, but not killing yourself, right? Now, also with that being said, if you are doing fasted exercise in the morning, if it is at low intensity, if you're not doing fasted exercise, I would recommend it being fasted for the low intensity, but I'd also recommend you having protein immediately after your workout and avoiding carbohydrates, okay? Not because carbs are bad, because you need carbs with your high intensity stuff, but because it actually just has a little bit more metabolic adaptations if you have protein with some fat or protein on itself and no carbohydrates post-workout, because you've got some different enzymes that'll be upregulated and downregulated, and we want to take advantage of that. So having protein post-workout, or post-run, should I say, waiting an hour or two, then getting some carbohydrates in your body, okay? When it comes to the high intensity stuff, making sure you are having carbohydrates before your workout, because they are going to help you with intensity. If you want to drive intensity, if you want to keep like your eye on the prize, if you want to make sure that you're mentally capable of being able to, remember combos and stuff like that, if you want to push your hardest, carbohydrates will drive the intensity, okay? And that's why carbohydrates pre-workout is going to be important for you. So basically, as a boxer, or as most athletes, most of your food should be, like, the highest amount of things you should be having, like macronutrient wise, is carbohydrates. And carbohydrates should be pushed up as high as possible, okay? So usually around 0.6 to 1 gram per kilogram body weight for fat, so it's 0.6 grams to 1 kilogram, and then protein's about 2 grams per kilogram. So if you're someone, again, you're doing like 2 sessions a day, 6 days a week, you're probably around the 70 kilo mark. Like, you're going to need above 3,000 calories a day, give or take. And so with that being said, those 3,000 calories, if you're having, again, 140 grams of protein, and let's say you're having 50 grams of fat, right? So quick math on that is 500, 6, it's like 800 calories, like 900 calories, right? The rest of your calories, so that means you should be having like 500 grams plus of carbohydrates, if I quick map that right. But again, you want to be prioritizing carbohydrates. And again, after that fasted workout, protein, 2 hours weights, start filling your day with carbohydrates pre and post workout for the intensity stuff. This also comes to weight training, because the more you fuel yourself, the better you are going to perform, okay? Because carbs don't make you fat. Carbs won't ruin your gains. Carbs won't slow you down. Carbs will speed you up. Carbs will help you perform better, especially neurologically too, thinking on the go, having, reducing overall fatigue. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best bet, all right? So making sure you do have that delineation. And again, making sure you are watching, keeping that heart rate lower when you're not doing the higher intensity stuff. Because again, you can only do so much, And a lot of you do run yourself into the ground, and people experience burnout, and it's just because they're pushing themselves way too hard when they don't need to be at the end of the day. Because again, if you're an amateur boxer, you're doing 3-minute rounds, okay? If you're a pro, you go to 12 rounds, okay? 3-minute rounds is not a lot that you have to. You can build up that capacity of cardiovascular fitness quite easily, okay? If you have a higher cardiovascular base of fitness compared to other guys, you will be able to run rings around them, It may be 3-minute rounds, but guess what? If you can do good 3-minute rounds and have good endurance, you can get in, throw your punches, get out, or tire out the other guy in that first round, or whatever it's going to be if he's an attacker, and you're countering, and then you're going to be able to take advantage, because everyone's going to have a different side of cardiovascular fitness. And so while it's important, you want to make sure you're optimizing it. And to optimize your cardiovascular fitness does not mean running red lines all the time. It means having that the delineation between low intensity or aerobic fitness versus anaerobic or aerobic glycolysis. So they're going to be the two things we're going to be thinking about. And you will notice when you fuel your sessions correctly, you will feel better. You will perform better. You will fatigue less. You will recover quicker. Everything will be better. Okay. And this is why I'm talking about this now, because like the amount of boxers that I've talked to over the last few months since starting, when I talk about the nutrition, I'm like, are you fucking serious? It kind of blows me away. But there's not a lot of education in this side of things. And that's why I want to start talking more about it, because, it's something I can apply to, and it's something I can teach quite well. It's not going to be all about boxing, but I think this is a key component for, a lot of fight sports too. So that's just the video that I wanted to make today, to kind of give you guys an idea about what you should be focusing on, how to delineate the two, using your heart rate monitor, which is going to be important. And again, just understanding that you're going to need a lot of calories, okay? Because you're going to need to recover, you're going to need to perform at your best, you're going to need to eat at energy availability. This is not just for males, but females too. And so being aware of all these things are going to be important, all right? So that is the video. If you guys have any questions, as always, make sure you hit me up on Instagram at Tyson the Trainer with 2 R's. And until next time, I'll speak to you guys then.